The Awakening Storm. The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 12,000 years, uniting thousands of species across three spiral arms of the Milky Way. Their technological supremacy was unquestioned, their military might unchallenged. When their deep space sensors detected unusual energy signatures from a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system, they barely registered it as a concern. Admiral Zenthar, leader of the Confederation's expansion fleet, didn't even bother consulting the High Council when he ordered a containment procedure on the planet. It was standard protocol for primitive worlds showing signs of reaching nuclear capability or rudimentary space travel. A simple show of force, perhaps the destruction of a few military installations, would typically send the message that the inhabitants should remain planet-bound until properly invited into galactic society. Deploy the Hemar Squadron to Sol 3, Zenthar ordered casually from his command chair, not even looking up from the reports of more important matters in the Andromeda advancement. Standard containment, Level 2. Nothing elaborate. The 12 Hemar-class battlecruisers that entered Earth's solar system represented merely 0.002% of the Confederation's military power, a perfunctory gesture deemed more than sufficient for a species that had barely managed to reach its own moon and send a few primitive probes beyond its solar system. The battlecruisers emerged from hyperspace just beyond Mars, expecting to find a frightened, disorganized response from the primitive planet. Instead, they encountered nothing but silence. No transmissions, no desperate pleas, no panicked military maneuvers. Earth simply watched, impossibly calm, as the alien force approached. Commander Creel of the lead battlecruiser felt an uncharacteristic shiver along his spine ridges. "Something's not right," he muttered, ordering enhanced scans of the planet. The scans showed normal human activity continuing unchanged. Cities functioned. Transportation networks operated, and there was no sign of the expected military mobilization. It was as if they hadn't even noticed the arrival of the most advanced warships in the known galaxy. "Proceed with the protocol," Creel ordered, silencing his misgivings. "Target their primary military installations and execute warning strikes." The battlecruisers moved into position around Earth, their weapons systems powered up, targeting Earth's major military bases. The first shots were fired, brilliant beams of concentrated energy lancing down toward the blue planet. And then the impossible happened. The energy beams struck what appeared to be invisible shields, dispersing harmlessly around their targets. Before the Confederation forces could react, small objects, barely registering on their sensors, launched from Earth's surface. The Confederation's sensors classified them as primitive missiles, hardly worth raising defensive screens. That was their first deadly mistake. The missiles bypassed the battlecruisers' shields completely, attaching to their hulls. Within seconds, the mighty warships began losing power, their systems failing one by one as microscopic nanomachines invaded their circuitry. "What's happening?" Creel demanded as emergency lights bathed his command deck in crimson. "Get our systems back online." But it was already too late. All 12 battlecruisers hung dead in space, completely disabled by technology that shouldn't have existed on such a primitive world. And then, Earth finally responded. A single transmission broadcast simultaneously to all 12 disabled ships, in perfect Confederation standard language. "You have attacked a sovereign world without provocation or declaration of war. This was your first and final mistake. We have disabled your vessels rather than destroying them. Your crews will be permitted to evacuate to lifepods. You have 30 Earth minutes to complete evacuation before we scuttle your vessels. Let this serve as our single warning to your Confederation. Earth is not open to invasion or colonization. Return at your peril." Back at Confederation headquarters, Admiral Zenthar received the disturbing report with disbelief. "Impossible. 12 Hemar battlecruisers defeated without a single casualty. By primitives." His second-in-command, Admiral Voss, studied the data with growing concern. Unlike Zenthar, Voss had made a career of studying emerging species. "Sir, I believe we've made a critical error in our assessment of the humans." "Explain," Xanthar demanded, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of rare distress. The humans didn't just defeat our ships, they did so with precision and restraint. They could have destroyed our vessels but chose not to. That suggests not only advanced technology but strategic thinking and possibly ethical considerations we didn't anticipate. What are you suggesting? That this backwater species somehow leapfrogged centuries of technological development without our knowledge? Voss's skin paled slightly. That's exactly what I'm suggesting, sir. And there's more. Our intelligence on Earth has been suspiciously sparse, almost as if. As if what, Admiral? As if they've been deliberately concealing their true capabilities, perhaps for centuries. Before Xanthar could respond, the central communication array lit up with an incoming transmission on the High Council's emergency channel, a channel that should have been impossible for any non-Confederation species to access. On the main view screen appeared a human female, dressed in a simple dark uniform with minimal insignia. Her face showed no fear, no anger, only calm determination. This message is for the leadership of the entity you call the Galactic Confederation. My name is Admiral Chen, Earth Defense Command. Your unprovoked attack on our planet constitutes an act of war under our laws. However, we are prepared to consider this a misunderstanding. This one time, if the following conditions are met. First, immediate withdrawal of all Confederation forces from the Sol system. Second, formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty and our exclusion zone extending 50 light-years in all directions from our sun. Third, diplomatic representatives to be sent, unarmed, to neutral coordinates we will provide, to establish proper relations between our civilizations. Her expression hardened slightly. You have 24 hours to respond. Should you instead choose aggression, understand this. We have allowed your species to learn of only a fraction of our defensive capabilities. We do not wish war, but if forced, we will bring such war to every corner of your confederation. The choice, as they say on Earth, is yours. The transmission ended, leaving the Confederation leadership in stunned silence. Admiral Voss spoke first. Sir, I recommend we comply immediately. Comply, with demands from primitives. Xanthar's voice rose with indignation. We are the Confederation. We have ruled the stars since before their species discovered fire. Voss's expression remained grave. Sir, with respect, if what we've seen represents only a fraction of their capabilities, we need to reassess everything we thought we knew about humans. Their technology disabled our most advanced shields as if they weren't there. They accessed our secure channels with ease, and they showed restraint, which means they're not afraid of us. Then we will show them what true power is, Xanthar declared. Mobilize the 7th Fleet. 100 warships should be sufficient to crush this impudence. Sir, I must formally register my objection to this course of action, Voss stated. Noted, Admiral. Now carry out my orders. As Admiral Voss reluctantly departed to organize the fleet, he couldn't shake the feeling that the Confederation had just made the second and potentially fatal mistake in its dealings with humanity. 3 days later, the mighty 7th Fleet of the Confederation arrived at the edge of the Sol system. 100 of the most powerful warships ever constructed, carrying enough firepower to reduce a planet's surface to molten slag. Admiral Xanthar himself commanded from the dreadnought Invincible, eager to personally oversee the suppression of this upstart species. Deploy an attack formation Delta. Target their major population centers, military installations, and power generation facilities. Let's see how confident they remain when faced with true power. The fleet advanced into the solar system, weapons charged, expecting to find Earth's defenses, whatever they might be, ready and waiting. Instead, they found nothing. No defensive fleet, no orbital platforms, not even the disabled hulks of the original 12 battlecruisers. Earth hung in space, seemingly defenseless. Sensors detect no defensive systems activating, reported the tactical officer. No energy signatures consistent with weapons or shields. Xanthar smiled. Their previous victory must have been some trick or fluke. Begin the assault. Just as the order was given, every system on every ship in the Confederation fleet suddenly went dark. No alarms, no emergency power, just complete shutdown. 100 warships instantly transformed into powerless hulks drifting in space. On the Invincible's bridge, emergency chemical lights cast an eerie glow as confused officers tried to understand what had happened. Manual system checks revealed something impossible. Every quantum processor, every power core, every piece of advanced technology had been rendered inert, as if the underlying physical laws that allowed them to function had been temporarily suspended. And then, as suddenly as they had failed, the ship's systems came back online. But the view screens didn't show the expected view of Earth. Instead, they showed the space around their home planet of Centauri Prime, 12,000 light-years away from Earth. Somehow, in an instant, the entire fleet had been transported across the galaxy. A message played on all communication channels, in that same calm human voice. Consider this your final warning. Next time, your ships won't be returned. The Confederation had just discovered that they had indeed waged war on the wrong species. The Reckoning. Captain Elara Hayes stood on the observation deck of the EDS Retribution, Earth's first official warship designated for interstellar conflict. Unlike the massive, imposing vessels of the Confederation, the Retribution was sleek and compact, designed for efficiency rather than intimidation. "Status report," she requested, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the Confederation homeworld of Centauri Prime. "All systems nominal, Captain," her executive officer responded. "Stealth systems at full capacity. We remain undetected." Hayes nodded. Earth had maintained its technological facade for centuries, presenting to any watching eyes the image of a slowly developing species, while secretly mastering technologies that the Confederation couldn't even comprehend. When humans had detected the first alien probes entering the solar system 300 years ago, they had made the collective decision to hide their true nature until they understood what awaited them among the stars. That caution had served them well. While appearing to struggle with basic rocketry and primitive satellites, humanity had developed physics-altering technologies that made conventional space travel obsolete, quantum communications that needed no detectable medium, and defensive systems that could neutralize any known weapon. The unprovoked attack had forced Earth's hand, revealing some of their capabilities sooner than planned. But the Galactic Security Council, Earth's true governing body for extraterrestrial matters, had decided it was time to establish humanity's place in the galactic community. "The Confederation High Council is convening an emergency session," reported Communications Officer Layton. "Our quantum listeners are picking up considerable panic in their transmissions." "As expected," Hayes replied. "Phase 2. Ready to implement on your command." Hayes took a deep breath. "Execute Phase 2. Across every world in the Confederation, every screen, holographic display, and communication device simultaneously activated, displaying the same message in each species' native language. People of the Galactic Confederation, we are humanity of Earth. Your leadership has committed an act of war against our world without provocation. We have responded with restraint, causing no casualties despite having the capability to do so. We seek peaceful relations but will not tolerate aggression. We now speak directly to you, bypassing your leadership, to make our intentions clear." Meanwhile, in the Confederation High Council chamber, the assembled representatives of over 5,000 species watched in shock as their most secure meeting was interrupted by the human broadcast. "How are they doing this?" demanded High Counselor Traz, the eldest member of the ruling body. "Our quantum encryption should make this impossible." Admiral Voss, now brought before the council to explain the catastrophic failure of their military response, spoke quietly. "I believe we're dealing with a species that has developed along entirely different technological paths than our own. Our understanding of physics may be incomplete." On screens throughout the Confederation, the human message continued. "For 12,000 years, your Confederation has expanded through this galaxy, often at the expense of emerging intelligent species. Your protocols classify developing worlds as resources to be exploited or controlled, rather than equals to be welcomed. This era ends today. Earth now extends its protection to all developing worlds within reach of your influence. Any aggression against such worlds will be met with the same response you have experienced. In the council chamber, panic was spreading. Reports were coming in from across Confederation space, every military installation, every major government center, and every strategic resource was being monitored by small, undetectable human vessels that had somehow bypassed all their defenses. The humans have had centuries to study us while concealing their true nature, Admiral Voss explained to the increasingly desperate council. They know our weaknesses, our strategic positions, our technology, everything. And they have technologies we don't understand. How is this possible? Councillor Traz demanded. How could one species from one planet threaten the entire Confederation? Because we never faced a serious challenger before, Voss replied. We've grown complacent in our dominance. The humans had the advantage of knowing they weren't alone in the universe, while developing in isolation. They prepared for this moment, perhaps for generations. The human transmission continued. We now offer terms for peaceful coexistence. The Confederation will recognize Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory. The Confederation will reform its protocols regarding developing worlds to respect their autonomy. And the Confederation will open its scientific and cultural knowledge for fair exchange with Earth. In return, we will share certain technologies that will benefit all species, beginning with medical and environmental restoration advances. In a secure chamber beneath the council building, High Councillor Traz met urgently with the military command. Can we defeat them? He asked bluntly. Admiral Zenthar, humbled by his recent defeat, shook his head. Not with our current understanding of their capabilities. They transported 100 warships across 12,000 light-years instantly. They can shut down our technology at will. They've demonstrated the ability to penetrate our most secure communications, and they've shown they can detect and track our movements everywhere. Then what options do we have? Traz asked, his voice hollow. Admiral Voss stepped forward. We negotiate, sincerely. The humans have shown restraint at every turn. They could have destroyed our ships but didn't. They could have attacked our homeworlds but didn't. They're showing all the signs of a species that genuinely prefers peace. They just refuse to be subjugated. And if we refuse their terms, Voss's expression was grim. Then they likely have capabilities we haven't seen yet, capabilities they prefer not to use. Back aboard the Retribution, Captain Hayes watched as the Confederation leaders debated their response. Earth's quantum listeners provided perfect real-time translation of their deliberations. They're afraid, observed her executive officer. Fear isn't our goal, Hayes replied. Respect is. Some of them are arguing for attempting a surprise attack with their reserve fleets. Hayes nodded. And the others? Beginning to realize that would be suicide. They'll make the right choice, Hayes said confidently. Species don't achieve interstellar civilization without some capacity for reason. After 6 hours of heated debate, the Confederation Council finally voted. By a narrow margin, they agreed to accept humanity's terms. A formal transmission was sent. The Galactic Confederation acknowledges the sovereignty of Earth and agrees to enter into diplomatic relations as equals. We accept the proposed reforms and look forward to cultural and scientific exchange. Captain Hayes allowed herself a small smile. Send the response. Your decision is acknowledged. Earth will send diplomatic representatives to coordinates being transmitted now. We look forward to a new era of cooperation. As the transmission was sent, Hayes turned to her crew. Phase 3. Deploy the diplomatic vessel and recall our monitoring ships. Maintain alert status but stand down from combat readiness. Do you think they'll honor the agreement, Captain? Asked her executive officer. Some will resist. Change is difficult for any civilization, especially one that has known only dominance for millennia. But they're rational enough to recognize the alternative. And if they try to renege? Hayes's expression hardened slightly. Then they'll discover that what they've seen of our capabilities represents only the diplomatic options. Earth spent centuries preparing for this moment, developing technologies specifically designed to counter any aggression we might face. She turned back to the view screen, watching as the diplomatic vessel detached from the Retribution, visible now as they deactivated their stealth systems. But I'm hopeful it won't come to that. Today marks humanity's real first contact, not as victims or subjects, but as equals, maybe even as teachers. As the diplomatic ship moved away, Hayes reflected on the irony that the Confederation's casual aggression had forced humanity to reveal itself before planned. But perhaps it was for the best. The galaxy needed change, and humanity had always excelled at challenging the status quo. The message Earth had sent was clear: wage war on humans at your peril. We come in peace, but we come prepared for anything else. And across the stars, the other species of the galaxy began to understand that a new era had dawned, one where humanity would be a force to reckon with, for better or worse.